You've grunged it out to living in the 90s. You've sung along with your kids to Kids Bop. You turned it up to Freedom Rock. Now, get ready for the softer side of cybersecurity with Sunsets and Snowdrifts, including all your favorite hits, like Don't Go Breaking My Encryption. Don't go breaking my encryption. I can't fight this phishing anymore. And I can't fight this phishing anymore. We will patch you. We will patch you. I want to know who logged this. I want to know who logged this. And who could forget, how am I supposed to live without Viciso? How am I supposed to live without Viciso? And who came up with this amazing compilation of cybersecurity hits, you might ask? It's your podcast host, Senior Sunset and Mr. Snowdrift, Evan and Kennedy.
You guys rocking out to some of those hits?
Yes.
I got rocking out hits going on right over here.
Nice. I like it. Yeah, I thought those there's some pretty good songs in there for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I love
We
the
could make
album cover.
a really nice compilation out of that.
Yeah, my wife loves the album covers, especially the Simon and Garfunkel. She wants she's been trying to get a copy of that so she can put it on a wall. So
That would make
She's
a nice
big.
picture in your house. I think
yeah, big Simon and Garfunkel fan.
We should
She
sell
is.
t-shirts.
There you go.
that could be your next Christmas card.
T-shirts and then location and like the tour venue on the back.
Oh yeah, the tours. All the Yaskies
wife-
are going to Kennedy.
My wife asked me today. I'm gonna go right over here. My wife asked me today, like, what's the name of your podcast? And I said, Sunsets and Snowdrifts. And she's like, what the hell? That's the best you could come up with. I'm like, well, I'm the Sunset. That's cool.
And I'm the Snowdrift. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's
Is it
cool.
quieter?
And
Is it quieter
Evan,
in
you're
here now?
joining us. What's that?
Yeah. Yep.
Is it quieter in here now?
Yeah. You're joining us from some other country.
Yeah. Yeah. They let me in here. Weird.
So you've been out on the cruise in the Caribbean there, right? This week.
Yeah,
How's
I'm
that been going for
sunburned,
you?
man. Look at this. Do I look really red to you?
I mean,
You look pretty red.
little red.
Yeah, that's what happens. We were yesterday riding Harleys with I guess there's a local motorcycle club down there, and I wasn't prepared. It was just kind of a spur of the moment thing, and got pretty.
Are you one of those that just doesn't, turn colors to just red or white, one or the other?
No, you try to get tan too, but I think it was it was probably 4 hours of riding,
Wow.
and down there sun. So it got me good.
That's awesome.
My wife, she was all prepared. She was like, I put on suntan lotion, but you didn't bring any.
Yeah, I mean, you guys have been in Mexico for how long? So you get on a ship, go somewhere else. You're like, I don't need any of that stuff. Good.
Yeah. Well, something about riding motorcycles. I mean, every time I ride a motorcycle, it's always your arms, your back of your neck, and the face.
Yeah, absolutely. Kennedy, you're out at your home office,
Yeah.
or is that no?
Yeah.
That's the office.
Office.
Yeah.
Nice and chilly here today.
Oh well, a bit different, right? You're
Bit
not
different.
getting the red look.
No, pasty white
Yeah, in the snow drifts.
in the snowdrifts. If we ever get spring or summer here, maybe it'll change. But
Yeah. Well,
What do you
that's
call people here? Do you call people Stalins or what do you call them?
where are you? Carasac? What? How do you even say where you're at?
Curacao.
Carasac.
Carousel?
Curacao?
Carousalians?
I need to ask somebody. I was teaching them some security stuff, and then we talk about security and things. You're talking the security guard with the jewelry that. He
Yeah.
showed me this one. It was nice.
Somebody's saying it's part of the Netherlands. So
Yeah, this, and I think Bonaire and Aruba. It's really nice. We should come here sometime and go scuba diving.
Oh yeah.
there you go. That'd be good.
I didn't come prepared to dive. But that
Yeah,
would've
we
been
gotta
cool.
we gotta figure out one of these to do underwater. We'll try to come down in August or September and we can dive.
There you go.
July's the best time, man. I mean, if you can put up with the humidity, it's the best time to dive.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you've been on the ship, Evan, and you said you were winning some money. That's good.
I'm a good gambler. I always suck at gambling, but yeah, I made a lot of money so far. I don't know how. My wife
Nothing.
thinks I'm really cool. So she's
Yeah.
like, digging it, you know?
That's
You
cool.
get perks. Did you know you get perks?
Yeah,
Perks.
No.
yeah. You can get free cruises and all that kind of stuff.
I think I'm probably pretty close because
Yeah.
I'm a high roller, you know.
Yeah, the $50 a day. Yeah, that's
But I made like 1,200. So I was sitting there. I don't play slots because I suck at everything, you know. And the dude next to me won 10 grand.
no
Holy shit.
nice.
And then like 30 minutes later, I won 1,200 on the one I was sitting at. So I'm just playing with house money ever since. And the more you play, you win some, you lose some. The more you play, you get more points. And then I got a lot of points. So I get like free drinks.
So I got to ask, have
that-
you had your cybersecurity hat on at all on that fancy ship with all their new technology? You seen anything going on?
Yeah,
Strange.
yes. But I'm not going to say it on this forum.
Well, this is the exact forum to say it.
Yeah, I know, but it's recorded.
He's not asking you what you hacked into. He's just
Yeah,
asking
I'm
if you
not asking
saw
what you-
anything.
Have you
Yeah, I saw
seen
some.
anything that concerns you?
No, yeah. for
After
sure.
the cruise is over, then maybe you can
Oh
speak.
yeah, they won't let you back on the ship if you divulge their secrets, huh?
No.
Well, and I don't. This is recorded too.
Yeah, yeah, and with all these new, perks that you just got, gambling away,
Yeah, how did
You're
you
such
get
a
you
these
don't want to
perks?
not be back invited, right?
Right.
Right.
Maybe we should be asking
I-
how you got these perks.
Well, for the record, I did earn them the
Oh,
right way.
Well, I was
But-
just thinking, Evan's out in the middle of the ocean, right? And there's some kind of cybersecurity threat that shuts the ship down, and he's in this action movie with The Rock or Jason Statham or someone. And Evan's the right-hand guy who's got to save the day, except, help The Rock out, get the ship working again, and save everyone from the bad guys.
It fits that.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good Hollywood stuff.
Good action disaster movie, right?
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
And get some Harley riding in there with the Iron Order Motorcycle Club.
Yeah. You and The Rock can do the Titanic scene at the bow of the ship,
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Although I could see
It'd be
you
fun.
and Kennedy doing that,
Yeah.
in your
Pinky,
photo.
Pinky
Kennedy,
and I did. We
We
did
got to
that.
get you on a Harley.
Okay.
Yeah.
My wife
Yeah.
doesn't listen to this podcast, so I'll be okay.
Would that be the
ride one
issue,
of those
Kennedy?
little? She lets you ride one of those little trail bikes. Those are more
Yeah, that's
dangerous than a
true.
Harley, man.
Yeah, it's true.
I've hurt myself
right.
a lot more on those bikes than I have on.
Oh yeah, I
Harley.
flew off of one on the side of a mountain in Montana last year. Dislocated my finger.
Yeah.
Just the whole front of me was black and blue for about a
Even the
month.
back of my
Yeah,
hand.
yeah.
Oh man.
Telling
Ouch.
you, I should have known better. But I've hit 2 deer on Harleys, and I've still gotten more injured on trail bikes than Harleys.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I think it's, obviously it's the other people that you're most worried about on the road.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
So,
My wife found a new scar on me today. We were walking down here, sat down. She's like, "Did you get shot?" And I'm like, "I don't think what." I guess it looks like she found a new scar on my leg, and she's like, "It looks like you got shot." And I'm like, there were days, back in when I was still drinking.
yeah, you don't
I
remember.
quit drinking in 2001. But there are, I wouldn't be surprised if I would have gotten shot and didn't remember. But
Well,
no,
I've been stabbed, but that's a whole other story we'll get into someday.
Ooh. Ooh, that sounds like a fun story.
Yeah.
I have not been stabbed, shot at. No, I guess I have gotten shot. Never, I take that back.
See, we all have a story, right?
Yeah, but I was sober. I wasn't drinking. Almost died a few times, but
Yeah.
Sounds all right.
Yeah. Almost died a few times is everybody's. I think everybody has that. Definitely been
Mhm.
there. So,
Those are all like war stories. So whenever you share those things, it's really cool because like the more I've shared like the shit I've been through, the more people can relate to it.
Mhm.
And the more, and when you know, one of the best ways to like really, support somebody is to go through the same thing that they've been through before. Cause like cancer, I had cancer and it wasn't really a big deal. They took out my kidney and they still exist. And, but just sharing that with other people, oh, I have somebody so and so is going through cancer, and then you can just kind of talk and relate on the same level. So, like when
Yeah.
you share some of your stories, even though some of them seem like uh, sensational or whatever, um, people can relate. And when you can relate, then you can have conversations. Like I shared once, when I shared openly, man, I was molested as a child. I mean, this isn't one of those shows, right? We're going to get all weird about like that, but you can share it openly when you've confronted that stuff, when you dealt with it emotionally. And I've shared that story with others before, and you'd be amazed at how many men have come up to me after I've shared my story and told me the same thing happened to them. And they've never told anybody about it. And that's sad because you have to process that shit. You
Mhm.
can't just like bury it. So, being transparent with people, sharing what you've been through, not to brag about it, but to, hey, if you've gone through something similar, if you've struggled, like mental health, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Share your mental health struggles, man, because somebody else might be struggling too. So anyway, I went on a
Yeah.
No, it's a good
but
point.
No.
May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So
Yeah, and I think that I mean the thing you hit on there so much is you're not alone in this. And then when we share about that and we talk about when I talk about the stuff that I have going on and that open that kind of that transparency, what I find is really a lot. I I don't help me as much getting it out as I help the other person that's hearing me that then can feel like, okay, I'm not alone in this anymore. Somebody else feels the way somebody struggles the same type of stuff I have. So no, I agree with you.
well,
That's
and it can
important
feel
shit.
really sometimes it can feel really lonely. I don't know if you've ever run into
Oh
this,
yeah.
but when you're a security guy,
Oh yeah.
mhm.
and because sometimes you like over the years I've done things that I don't think anybody else ever done before. It's been really stressful stuff, sometimes when you try to share it, like your wife asks you,
Yeah.
'cause my wife is
That
so
doesn't work.
awesome, man, and she wants to help. And I'm like, you just can't. I mean, I share it with
Yeah.
you, and I know you don't get it, and so there's not that connection.
Yeah.
But when you, especially like if you do feel isolated, you do feel lonely, and I can only imagine though sometimes there's security people that feel really intimidated. Like I don't want to share any kind of weakness with you because it's going to make me look like I'm less of a security person, which is all bullshit. Because
Right.
you know what I mean? We're all less security people than we think we are.
Yeah, I think we're fighting against a number of things, right? So we're
Right.
all guys, which we bundle up our feelings anyway, as guys typically. And then we are usually introverts in technology, IT, security, whatever we do, we're kind of introverted types. And so with all of that, we bundle a lot of shit up. Like that's just we pile a lot of stuff on ourselves. And you guys are 100% right. You come home or your wife comes home and asks you how your day was or what's been going on, and you just, yeah, everything's good. And that's
Everything's
that's
good.
about all we get out, don't we? Like,
Yeah, you gotta take that stigma away from it. You got to be
yeah.
able to talk to people. Have you guys heard of this? Somebody brought it up to me when I was talking somewhere and about mental health, and they brought up the Simon Sinek's "Do you have 8 minutes?" Ever heard of that?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so that for me, so I have a group of friends that I reach out to all the time, and we kind of have that. And Evan, and I know I've texted you in some of those moments as well. It was just like, hey, I got to get this out. I just got to
Right.
be able to. And the other thing too is not only because there's no perfect answer. There's not an answer for someone. Just being able there to be able to listen and either relate or just really for me, it's being able to take the time to get it out of what's in here, because when it's inside this head is where it spins out of control. So, but
That's
yeah,
the thing, man. I mean, I guess I'm learning. I'm always learning. 50, I don't know, 53 or something. And you're always like learning, and I've spent a lot of time being an only child, just self-reflection, trying to think like, in some cases, I'm trying to think, what the fuck's wrong with me? In other cases, I'm like, whatever. But I think I came to kind of the realization, like, I'm not going to let anybody steal my joy.
no,
You know what I mean? And because if
yep,
somebody's stealing my joy, they're not just stealing from me, they're stealing from my wife, my kids, my friends, because my lack of joy, steals from their joy. You know what I mean?
yep.
And the one person in my life who's stolen more joy than anybody else is me. I always steal my own damn joy. And I'm like, fuck that. I'm not stealing my own joy anymore. Because I'm not going to steal from my wife or my friends. So, yeah, it makes you
That's a
process.
good point. And I think you guys, like both of you, of just having spent the time I've spent with each of you, you're very open to talk about mental health and issues, and it allows us to open up, because the reality is, like, and I see this, Kennedy, on the road circuit, especially,
Yeah.
you're talking about a subject matter really nobody's been talking about for years and years, at least in our industry. And when you have people come up and say, man, it's just great to hear that sort of thing. And I don't know, when Evan starts talking to me, whether we're on a one-on-one call or something, it goes to those places where you just don't normally, you don't
Right.
talk to people about things like that. And so no, I appreciate it. I mean, I appreciate it from both of you. And as leaders, that's the kind of thing that needs to be done more, right? Is just to be able to understand what's going on with the people that work for you, or the people that are around you, or all that sort of thing. I mean, what do you guys think about that concept of, like, talking more about employee, with employees and stuff?
From our standpoint, it's a lot of, I mean, sometimes there's a lot, we're still leaders of the organization, right? So we're still put on some type of pedestal, and we can't get away from that. And there's still, what I always think about is there's a shadow that we cast as well, that, I don't know how many times I come in here and I'm grumpy and everybody notices. And so I have to ensure that, we all get grace for that, right? But ensuring that, the way I show up in that shadow, but then also talking about it, frustrations, it's not them, and it's not the organization. There's something else going on, or whatever it is, kind of trying to be that open book. But then also what I found, and like you guys kind of talked about it, is, the check-ins, just keeping a pulse of, like, how are you doing? How's life, keeping and just engaged with them. We can't get to everybody, and that's unfortunate. But there are a lot of people that, I take extra effort to go and just connect into, see how they're doing, and engage, because we want to have that open conversation when someone's struggling or something's going on, that they feel comfortable either coming to me, coming to somebody else, or having that outlet in their personal lives as well. It doesn't have to be work. It can be personal, or whatever, but it's so key. We just, in this industry, we get so myopic in what we're doing, and that crisis or stress thing that we're working on, that we forget all the stuff around us. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it sounds funny because I think people overuse the words and misunderstand what it means, but you lead from a place of love, genuine love, and all the
yeah,
rest of the stuff. Like, yeah, I'm a mess up. I'm a screw up. I've always been a screw up. I will always be
yeah,
a screw up. I'm
yeah,
comfortable with being a screw up. And if you're a screw up, that's okay to be a screw up. I'm still going to love you if you're a screw up.
yeah,
You know what I mean? I think it allows you to live life at work and, at home as a genuine person, not trying to hide something, not trying to be
yeah,
something you're not. I mean, I could care, I could get, because a lot of times we get together too, security people, and we do a lot of posturing, we do a lot of bragging, and I mean, 90% of it is all crap.
Yeah.
You're talking about things that maybe you did that, but you certainly elaborated. I mean, you're not going to tell me the truth about how it really went down. And most of the work we do is not super duper exciting, right? I spent more time writing reports and reading emails than I do talking on the phone. And, so I think it's just be you, accept people for who they are, try to help them find their way, find their path. I love when employees, share their dreams with me, what they want to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because as a leader, when you do that, I'm looking for opportunities, for you. Where, so-and-so said that they really, like, I'll tell you what's going on at FR Secure, right? We have a lot of really, really good ideas that come out of our group. They're really smart. And when we go secure, enough, we'll have these same kinds of things, but it's, you've got, in one instance, one person in particular, they just always kind of wanted to run their own company. Super smart, got great ideas. And it's like, and got all the intangibles, right? This is a really good dude. Like, why don't you take all the risk out of it for you
Yeah.
to start this company? And I'm not motivated by money, so I give two craps about how much money I make. I want you to live your dream. I want you to do what I'm doing. I'm so blessed, man. I mean, I get to live in a wonderful, everything, man. There's so many things, I'm like already kind of, I could retire, but other people aren't in that position. So as I look across, the other people, who work for me, it's like, what do you want to do? How do you want to retire? Do you want, let's figure out a way to make that happen. That would be awesome. I mean, you guys, it's actually, when you look at like my house, I'll say it's the house that FR Secure built. And I'm just kind of like the caretaker when they're not there.
Mm-hmm.
It's a sweet gig. If you can get that gig, you can take it.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
It's part of that mission though too, right? At the core of it.
Yeah, 100%. It's this topic is interesting because I feel like, again, going on the show circuit and talking business owner to business owner about these kind of things is one thing, but understanding or knowing how to address employees and their issues, and everybody has personal lives and things going on that you just don't know. Someone could come in every single day and do their job to the best, and
Right.
you don't know that they're seconds away from losing it, right? And how do you kind of separate the two? Meaning, how do you, as a leader and a business owner, be a part of that with somebody, or try to understand the people that work for you without it being too vulnerable or too much, for some people.
I think
there's boundaries, and I've lost 4 friends to suicide that work in this industry. And every time, you go through in your own processing, you ask, like, what could I have done? I wish I would have known, and so, every time that happened, it's like, instead of, always prying for things, I'm just going to talk openly about it, so that they always knew that it was always safe. Come talk to me about whatever struggles you're having right now. And that, in a selfish way, it's like, if somebody does commit suicide again or something, you can't claim that I didn't have a safe place for you to come talk about it. You know what I mean? But I also can't force you to talk about it.
No. But I think you even kind of hit on it a minute ago of like, you live those same principles in your personal life that you bring here. So for me, there's really, except for some of I'm not going to start talking about how I ended up in jail the first time in great detail, because I did that at work once, and the response wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. So I kind of toned that down and maybe more of a quieter environment. But the living those, if I'm willing to talk about that outside of the business and with friends and family and people I meet and, people I'm trying to help, I have to live that same principle here. I'm not going to change me when I'm outside of Austria to where I'm inside of Austria.
Yeah.
It's the same mic everywhere. So
Well, it's interesting. So Evan, like one thing, and I'm not sure how you do it in your business, Kennedy, but most of the staff or some of the staff have one-on-ones with you, Evan, and very rarely is that about business stuff. It's about, everything under the sun, but it's a lot of times it's where you open up, which ends up creating a safe space for us to open up. And I think that more business owners could do more of that with their employees instead of seeing them as employees, seeing them as people that, have real true lives. And I think it takes you as a leader opening up to them to be able to create that, space that someone feels like it's okay to do that. I mean, do you guys agree that might be a good way to kind of introduce that into an organization?
Take the example. I mean, that's the thing that
yeah.
I remember the first time as FR2 was growing, it's the first time I was going to be given this title CEO. I was like, what the hell does a CEO do? I'm like, where I write into my job description or anything. So I Googled it, and oh my God, it was all over the place. But the one thing that seemed to be pretty consistent across all the job descriptions was setting the culture for the organization. So as the leader, somebody has to set the culture. And that's my job. And so, and then the people, you have to empower the people to do their things the way they do their things. They're better. I mean, Frank, you're better at your job than I would ever be at your job. You know what I mean? So why would I get in the way of you? And I also know that from a work perspective, people are more productive. They create better quality work when they're healthy. Right? So I don't know. I think you set the culture of just being transparent, sharing things, even sharing those things that normally would be taboo. Like you were molested as a child. I was. So what? You know what I mean? And if any of my employees or any employees at FR Security or Security Studio have been through the same thing, they know that they can come talk to me about it. You don't ever have to. I can, it's your life. But if you're struggling with those things, sure. I mean, I'm an alcoholic. I gave up drinking, 2001. So if you're struggling with alcohol, I mean, you be that person that is just, you're a human being and we're going to make mistakes. Let's make them together and let's be healthy.
Yeah. Kennedy, what ways do you find that you can kind of relate to people in similar ways? Not the specifics, but, how do you open that door to people? I know it's hard because, we all say we have an open door policy, come in anytime, but until you actually create that space, it's not going to happen, right?
You have to, I think part of the problem, like when I'm here in the office, I'm pretty distracting. And it's part of that reason is I'm trying to engage and talk to people. I'm going to go catch you and, how's life? How's it going? There's a couple of people here that we how's the dating life going? Any wife potentials yet? And then we talk and we joke and we kind of create some of that dialogue around it. It's the same kind of thing, is being in sharing experience. I struggle sometimes too, because humility gets in the way sometimes, and not wanting to share more about myself in what I've done and my experiences, because I don't want to, come across as the guy with the ego in the corner. But engaging with them and talking to them about it, just asking the questions. And that's where you start to hear the little nuggets of stuff where then you can kind of pull out next conversation. So how's your daughter doing? Or how's your sister? How's your family? Are you still struggling with that? And doing the follow-up conversations are really important. So, and then sharing that.
Yeah. And doing it with no ulterior motive. I think a lot of times people, for the safe spaces and just not the safe space like they talk about in the news. I'm talking just like truly like, okay.
Yeah.
Supposed to be yourself, right? And it's a double-edged sword, right? Because there are no consequences for doing that, right? So sometimes you hear some like, really kind of fucked up stuff, but
Yeah.
I promise, I promise is a promise, you know what I mean? And there are no consequences for it,
Right.
right? Everybody knows the boundaries in terms of what can get you fired. And really, they're written on the wall, right? They're our core values. So
Yeah.
stay with the core values and it's pretty cool. I mean,
Right.
Yeah, it's really hard to get past that surface level. And I like even myself, I'm like a super private person. So to get me to open up to someone can be difficult, but again, it's like, but as soon as you're in a one-to-one environment and you're talking
Right.
about stuff and people are opening up to you, it gives you that place. And like you said, not the news, not hug rooms or, whatever you're talking
No,
about
fuck that.
in the
No.
news, or what
Well,
the hipsters wanted, right?
well, no,
Right.
because it's not for show either, right? I mean,
No.
Yeah.
none of
No.
the stuff is for show. It's not for statistics. It's not to be cool in the media. It's because it's life, right? Let's do it
Right.
together. It's like the thing I wrote about diversity, and why I value diversity. And it's not for statistics or show or anything like that. It's just because I really give a crap about your perspective. You
Yeah.
bring something new to the table, which helps everybody. As we're creating solutions, I don't want to create solutions that leave people out.
No.
Maybe the solution leaves you out because I didn't even know you had a perspective on this. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, man, it's just life. It's love, in a good way. Because even that has like negative connotation sometimes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
So one of the issues
oh,
with
you tell your employees that you love them? I'm like, yeah. Well, aren't you worried that that's going to come back and backfire? I'm like, I don't think we're talking the same kind of love.
No.
I'm not talking.
yeah, not that kind.
I love you too,
Yeah.
Brian.
I was gonna say, if we need anything on Frank, we can just ask Brian.
Yeah, that's
We,
true.
we need,
Vice versa.
yeah.
Usually, and even with Brian, we have an amazing relationship that we talk every day. But even at that, he'll tell you I'm kind of hard to get stuff out of sometimes. So, it's just one of those things. I think that when we struggle with things or when we have issues in our lives and when we have problems, again, like I tend to feel like I need to deal with that myself, and I'm gonna deal it with it, and I'm gonna whatever it is that I'm going through. And the reality is, probably, that's not the best way to deal with things, because
Well,
you
maybe it
tend to
is too.
bottle
I
things
mean,
up. Yeah.
and maybe it is. I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes everybody's different. Everybody's got
Yeah.
their own way of processing stuff. There's lots of
Yep.
people that are really private, and there's nothing wrong with any of that. You know what I mean? But if it's ever that time and you need to reach out to somebody for some help,
Yeah.
that's when it's always safe to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
You're not alone. Yeah.
it's okay that it's okay to deal with things on your own, but it does bubble up. And then at some point
Yeah.
that bubble burst, and
Yeah.
it's going to come out in some way. And so if you're not dealing with it or talking to people about it or trying to, deal with those types of issues, I think you're inevitably something bad is going to happen. So
Right.
whether that's you start drinking more or whether you go, just take it out on something or whatever, I mean, it's going to come out in some way. And so it's much better to have those people around you who recognize, well, something's going on different with this person. Like, how do I engage with them in a way that it opens up and creates that safe space? Because I think that's the thing, is maybe recognizing, especially in employees, right? Recognizing that something might be going on. Because what do we do as people all the time? If somebody's upset, like you said, Kennedy, you come in and you seem off or angry or something. I think it's me, right? I think
Right.
it
Yeah.
must have something to do with me that Kennedy's mad. And we do that. We put that on ourselves as people. And really, you're dealing with something at home, or,
Right.
it could be anything, financial, whatever. There's
Fucking
something going on.
traffic.
Has nothing to do with
Especially-
anybody, right?
Yeah.
Especially like post-COVID.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Post-COVID, we're doing so much less face-to-face conversations.
Yep.
And there's so much that goes into like non-verbal communications. Like, you may receive an email, and based on the email, you're like, what, is Kevin pissed off at me?
Right.
because it's like, it's short, it's to the point. It's like, until, you reply back, dude, everyone cool? It's like, yeah, what the hell? So there's lots of like miscommunications and,
Yep. Miscues. Yep.
I know that, we also have kind of a give the benefit of the doubt,
Be
it's really
curious.
important. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you are thinking something about somebody, give them the benefit of the doubt. Reach out to them, find
Yeah.
out, because you
Right.
might find that you just stressed for like 2-3 hours about something, or 2-3 days about something that was all just bullshit to begin with, because your mind was like, hey, why are you so
Yeah.
mad at me?
Right. No, that's the whole thing, Frank, that when I talk, is the thoughts of impending doom does not mean
Mhm.
doom is impending. And my ADD brain will spin me into this fantasy or this whole conversation track. I mean, I'll have a complete conversation track with my dialogue, the other person's dialogue, in different scenarios. And to Evan's point, it's just like, no, I was just asking, what you wanted for lunch. It's like, no, you insinuated something else in
Yeah.
that, it's just
It's
like,
funny. I know people 100% like that, Kennedy, and
yeah,
I'm the opposite. I'm the give the benefit guy, because I
yeah,
always think that it's probably something else. It's probably not that. It's
yeah,
probably they're
right,
dealing with it, or whatever.
right,
So I mean it, and sometimes it is that other thing, but like
yeah,
you can't expect that it's that.
yeah. It's my whole life. It's always been someone's trying to get me. Someone's gonna find out. So,
Yeah.
but those are my demons that I have to work through. So, and
Yeah, I think
conversations
that,
like this.
But again, man, you don't have to work through them alone. I mean, that's the thing,
No,
right?
no,
yeah.
not at all. Not at all.
Well, and recognizing that and figuring that out, another thing that's come so much into mental health really over in our period, our lives, social media has just messed all of that up. I think, you talk to so many people
Oh, fuck.
who
Yeah.
think that everybody's life is so amazing and so fantastic and their life is complete shit. And it's
No.
like, you don't know what other people are going through. So what, they posted, they're having a good time somewhere. And that's all you ever see from this person, right?
Right.
Well, in my
It creates this unrealistic thing. I don't know.
Unreal expectations. Yeah. Social media is
and why
stupid.
compare? I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
my father, God bless him, he passed away a while back, but he taught me that you'll never be the best at anything,
Mm.
which makes it seem like really, okay, thanks, Dad. And then he would follow up, except be the best you. You'll never be the best hacker. It wasn't hacking back then, but you'll never be the best hacker. You'll never be the best athlete. You'll never be the best boss. You'll never be the best business person. You'll never be the best anything except for the best you. You're guaranteed to be that. So rather than trying to be the best at anything else, I'm just going to try to be the best possible me I can be.
Yeah.
And so whatever I see on social media, when you look at social media from that lens, and for what it's worth, I think sometimes you're sorry, I think, a little bit. So there are people that are always posting on social media about how great life is, because you just know that that's not how life works.
Right. Right.
Yeah, or it's the exact opposite, right? Someone's
Oh, yeah.
constantly how bad everything is.
Right.
So
Yeah.
there's no middle ground, it seems like, or at least we don't take the middle ground, right? We're only seeing
Right.
the extremes
Right.
of one side or the other when we're peering into somebody else's life. And really that's
Right.
what you're doing.
Well,
when you're,
I always think about it. It's you're judging your insides by somebody else's outsides. In my outsides, I got it pretty fucking good. And all of us, everybody that's attending, everybody. And when we look at it in that way and not trying to compare ourselves to somebody else, exactly to Evan's point, when we, because all we're doing is we're trying to compare how we're feeling right at this moment, the anxiety, the stress or whatever, or the happiness. We're trying to compare it to somebody's got a new car or somebody got a new shirt or they're on a vacation somewhere on a cruise, or whatever. But you got to think about how, that same kind of thing. And people are comparing them to you. You have it really good. It's a gratitude is where I think it gets for me, is when I get in that moment of starting to think about the things I'm grateful for, then that stuff starts to pivot. And the other side of social media too, when you started talking about, I was thinking about my son loves watching the YouTube shorts or, or the TikTok or whatever, that he sees like this, dish he can make. So he comes down and he's like, I want to make this. And I'm like, okay, well, that's at least a 5 to 6 hour project. We're going to have to build, we're going to have to do this. I got to go buy a new appliance and this. He's like, no, it can happen in 45 seconds. You don't
Right.
understand. And so
Yeah.
we get all of this false sense of accomplishment of something, or things are instantaneous, and we would be a better, I mean, I know social media is important, but we'd be a better society if we didn't have it. So
It's like anything, man. I mean,
Yeah.
we talk about this in information through that time. It's like, there's nothing wrong with any of these things. It's how you use these things and can
correct.
you
Yeah,
use
you're
them
right. Yeah.
responsibly.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you can use social media responsibly, go for it.
Right.
And responsible use of social media is, I think number one, understanding it for what it is.
Yeah.
It's not reality.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's shots, it's screenshots of reality, but you're missing all the things in between. It's not healthy to be on social media, TikTok, 24 hours a day. I mean, it's just using these things, responsibly, putting them in their place, helping it make sense.
Does it set bad
It's
or
weird to
wrong?
hear me even say that, because you fucking talk about responsibility. I'm like, I'm not in that.
Yeah. From a business perspective, do you think it sets bad or wrong expectations for people? So you were just giving a good example, Kennedy, of like your son, right? And we have
Mhm.
younger people coming into our organizations. Does it set this wrong expectation of, how much you should work, how often you work, how some instantaneous something, a sale should come in, or, all of those kind of things. And how do you, if it does, how do you combat that? Like, is it even possible?
That's a hefty question. I mean, fuck.
What was the question? How to combat?
How to combat instantaneousness with social
Oh,
media.
Well,
Like
and they expect just these expectations, right? Because I feel like, we're all old
it,
school. We come from this mindset of you work until it's done, and then you get to play or whatever. But I feel like there's, in some way, shape, or form, there's this idea of,
the instant
I only
gratification.
work this much and I only do this much, and I'm and it should all happen within this amount of time. And when it doesn't, does that create other mental health issues and all of that kind of stuff? So yeah, it's a big thing I'm talking about, but I don't know.
I,
What are your
I,
guys' thoughts on that stuff?
I think it really goes back to what Evan just said. If you're responsible with it, because it's not, I mean, you can't say it's a generation, because I know people that in whatever various generations there are, that, are both sides of the spectrum.
Right.
One, they don't want to do anything. Everything needs to be on a silver platter for them. And the opposite ones are just willing to grind no matter what it is to get there. Across from ages, the same thing, everything. So, for me, I think it comes back to is like, how are you being responsible with it? I think there's influence. Obviously, there's a lot of influence in that people are buying into this ease and easiness. I see it a lot with people coming into the cybersecurity industry that are going to college. They're getting certified cybersecurity, and they're coming out. They're being told that they're going to make $100,000 a year being a red team pen tester or a SOC analyst, but they have no experience with tools, or they're learning something that doesn't quite fit, and you try to coach them in that way, and they're like, but it's the same in everything else. Whatever that shiny object is, I think as a society are going to try to chase it down. um I'm gonna start shutting up because I'll babble on for 20 minutes.
No, but I
So
think it's a good
it's
point. I
good.
mean, even bringing up that expectation of like, I'm going to make this much year one, right? Like,
right.
and you don't have experience yet. Is that a
Well,
generational thing, or is that,
No,
well,
you
no.
here's
think
the key word
that's
that we keep using. We keep using the word expectation.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
my wife and I have spent, I mean, I don't know if there's so much more. I mean, we've spent so much time trying to learn how not to have expectations. Truly, you can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, except for the obvious ones, like if I don't get up and go use the restroom, I can expect to piss my pants eventually.
Right.
It's not those kinds of expectations. It's like these unknown outcomes. Take them for what they are, and then figure out how
Right.
you're going to use that to be better. You know, so expectations, and I've gotten into, you know, many discussions with friends, you know, close friends about expectations, because I think there's a misunderstanding of what the expectations are. Right?
Yeah.
It's expecting some outcome from something you do, right? And so, and I've learned a
And you
lot
can't
more
control. Yeah.
about no, and that's the mission before money thing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
focus on the mission and you'll make money.
Right.
If I focus on the money, I won't make the mission. That's just logic. And so you take whatever outcome happens from the money, but I never planned on being a millionaire. I never planned on having a big, huge house. I mean, none of those things were expectations. They were things that happened, you know, and then you try to use those to the best of your ability to bless other people with it. And that's one thing. And the other thing that if you can learn, I was like convinced, like the key to joy and happiness is contentment.
Mm.
Being content, man. Our maintenance guy, you know, at our house. There was one day I was sitting having coffee and I was watching him work, and I'm like, Juan, come here. He's like, what? And I'm like, dude, I got to tell you, you inspire me. And he's like, what? Me? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, how? I go, your contentment, man. I can see it. I can feel it. And it's like contagious. I want. And so I was talking to friends after that, you know, about contentment. And they're like, well, it's easier for you to be content because you have money. And I'm like, but as I look back at my life, I was content when I didn't have money.
Mm-hmm.
I was content when I was losing my house, you know, with FR Secure in the early days, right? Not like, oh, this is awesome. I love losing my house, but I was content. I was happy with what I had, and I was still embracing it and grateful for it. You know what I mean? And so I think if people could learn more to be content, content doesn't mean that like you don't get more things. You probably will, but
Right.
it's weird because it seems like the more content I am, the more I get. And I don't really want any more. Honestly, I don't want any more money. Stop giving me fucking money. Because I'll just go buy another truck.
It's almost
And then,
defining your goal, right? Like, so
Yeah. Yeah.
what goal do I have in my life? And it's not about that next thing. It's about, you know, your personal like goals. Like what do you want to achieve? And in that, you can always be striving to achieve that goal, but it's not always about achieving that next thing you're chasing, right? You shouldn't always be chasing a thing. You should be chasing your, you know, personal
whatever your
goals,
purpose is,
whatever
you
it
know,
is.
find your purpose.
Yeah,
Find
purpose.
your purpose. How many people go through life? I mean, seriously, how many people go through life without a purpose?
Right.
It's just the same mundane. No, man, there's a purpose there. And you really need to find that purpose. Because when you find that purpose and you start driving with that purpose, it's what gets you through those really, really shitty days. And I don't want to get up anymore. I don't want to go to another stupid meeting. I don't want to turn on my damn computer. I don't want to do any of that. But I do it because of the purpose and I stick with it. And then it's like at the other side of it, it's like, well, thank God I did do that. Now, I didn't do any of those things expecting anything in return. I did those things because it was my purpose. It was what I was supposed to do. And there, you know, when I bought this truck, you know, we were talking, you know, you and me, Mike, we got new trucks. It's pretty awesome like that. And this, when I got my truck, our 24-year-old, and I know he's 24 because I asked him, you know, we spend a lot of time, we don't even invest in people and ask them you know,
Yeah.
who they are, what they want to do, what do you want to be. But he's the groundskeeper for, you know, the place we live, right? And his name is Diego. He's 24 years old. And he said, wow, nice truck. I'm like, yeah, thanks. You know, how old are you? He said, 24. And I said, I'm 53. And if you like a truck like this, you got 29 more years to beat me in getting a truck like this. You know what I mean? But what it takes is, if that's your purpose, is to get the truck, which probably isn't, But if it was, you would keep working towards it and you would go after it and, probably eventually get it. But yeah, I think with the instant gratification, I think people don't realize, how much work actually goes into the things that we do.
Yeah. Yep. For sure.
The 110 hours a week. And I'm a guy who does work like that, but then I do feel a little guilty that I took a vacation. You know what I mean? It's like, I could have done without it. But then, how healthy would I be? And what kind of example would I set for other people if I don't do that?
We're just
Yeah.
a family too. Being able to connect in with the family, to disengage, to be a part of that too is really important.
My
Yeah,
wife,
figure-
she's really hot, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been seeing her like every day. I'm like, wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah, there was a song.
Yeah, when
that
you're
was
at home, you
playing-
don't see each other.
Yeah, I know that dude that was playing that song. And he played one song, "You're Beautiful Tonight" or whatever. And I was sitting over there, and my wife was sitting there waiting in line for the bathroom. And I heard the song, and I was like, "Yeah, my wife is beautiful." So I looked up, and she was looking at me, and I said, "Yeah, it's one of the moments." Put that in a
Nice.
movie. I
Nice.
love it.
It's a great
It's
moment.
good. Super
Yeah,
content.
I think you're right though. I mean, you got to find what's going to make you content, because at the end of the
Yeah.
day, if you don't, you're always chasing something and you're never content. You can reach that thing, that level, and you're looking for the next one immediately.
Yeah.
And how do you figure that
And-
out? You know?
And the only thing it seems like it's okay to chase that you may never reach, but you're still going to feel super fulfilled is when you're chasing your purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
If you're chasing a thing, you get the thing, and it's like, okay, what's the next thing? You're finding that purpose and that fulfillment of this is what's going to define my life.
Yeah, and that's a good point, is just separating the two, because there's always things. Oh, I want this car. Oh, I want this house. Oh, I want this, vacation. And it's never enough, right? There's, after that, you want the next one or the better one or the whatever thing. So
Right.
you're 100% right. It's figuring out what that purpose is. I
Right.
like,
I didn't want this truck until I got the truck.
yeah.
I mean, honestly, I didn't know I was getting a bonus.
And now it's
I'm
just a
not
truck
working.
that gets you around and, pick up people and do all that. It's not like, it doesn't define you in any way or anything like
No.
that.
Nope.
No,
Yeah,
that's
that's important.
that's awesome. That makes a lot of sense. Hey, well, we didn't get to any of the stuff that we had written, but it is May. It is mental health. You'd love to hear from people in the audience if they have questions around mental health, dealing with stuff in their business. There's a Q&A section at the bottom there of the Zoom. If you guys want to throw some questions out to Evan Kennedy or myself, feel free to throw some stuff out there. We'd love to answer some questions.
Did you have an agenda? You just talk about something?
Yeah, no, we had lots of fun cybersecurity stuff, but yeah,
Let's talk about one of them. We still got a few minutes here.
yeah, for sure. We
Yeah. He had
Talk
Krebs
about
on
some
here.
packet captures or some shit.
He had Krebs on here. I told him that we weren't supposed to talk about Krebs.
Yeah, I got some stories with them. I'd be happy to share them.
Well, just
No.
a story out of Krebs. That's all they. Yeah. So just
Oh, you
one
want
of
to talk
those.
about them? That'd be
Maybe
funny.
Yeah, just some interesting stuff going on out there. I guess CISA was warning CISOs about a breach at Cysense. I don't know if you guys have heard of those guys or not, but
Oh yeah.
they are they're a company that allows you to view the status of multiple
Dwayne, it's Brian
online
Krebs, not
services.
Brian Krabs.
So single pane of glass type solution. And my question really was, because it got me thinking that everybody's striving for this single pane of glass. That's what everybody talks about in the industry. But is that a good thing if you have a single pane of glass and it can create a way to connect to multiple solutions or software or whatever? Is that a good thing from a security perspective at all? Or should we not be thinking about, get me a single pane of glass?
We should be thinking about single. So it's two things. One, it's always going to be garbage in, garbage out. Right. So if you've got a whole bunch of things collecting a whole bunch of shit and putting it on a single pane of glass for you, but you're still looking at it shit.
Yeah.
So that's number one. And And number two, the less things you have, the more useful that single pane of glass is. Right? Rather than having 50 things on a single pane of glass, it's a lot simpler and easier to manage with 5.
Yeah.
So every single thing that you're going to put in your environment, you need to make sure you're using it responsibly, that it's configured correctly, that it's doing what it's intended to do before you ever put any kind of another layer on top of it.
Right.
Yeah, and I was thinking, from a security perspective, that it just seems like, and I don't know if you guys heard, there was some news, Kaseya recently is bringing their 365, where'd that come from? I don't know, which is
No.
all of these different solutions brought into one, environment, similar kind of thing, right? Is that, again, opening the door to an easier attack, an easier threat, an easier, issue in the future?
I mean, it can be, yes, but then if it's also properly configured, then maybe it won't be. I mean, that's like what we talk about with SolarWinds, right? It's a great tool, not properly configured, then wide open doors, own all your customers. Properly configured, then you've ensured that you're not going to have that backdoor opportunity. So
Save all your money and learn how to use the firewall.
correct.
Did you guys hear about the stuff going on with Change Healthcare and the VA, that big breach?
Yeah.
No, so anyway, there's infighting between the attacker groups now. I guess they're all trying to get the $22 million ransom, and that they're all fighting over it, which is really interesting. And I guess Change paid it, but I'm not sure if they unlocked their stuff or not. But some crazy stuff.
Well, the other thing too on that was MFA, right? I mean, that was they were coming back to is the MFA. And so I know you had one, I think one of your agenda items too is like, could a small business learn from that? And all the stuff that we talk about for small businesses and what they should implement, the big organizations are susceptible as well. So.
Well, and when are we going to come together as an industry and call the failure to do something actually negligent? Like something tactical, it's negligent. You will be held accountable for being negligent. So I don't understand why anybody anywhere would ever assume that having a single factor authentication anywhere on the internet is not negligent. It's negligent. Now, the reason why people don't do it is because nobody's actually held out of being negligent. Nobody's actually being held accountable for it. But that's how you have to affect change in our industry. Otherwise, it's going to be the same bullshit again and again and again. It's not like we didn't know that single factor authentication anywhere on any public network is negligent. We just didn't call it negligent, and we didn't hold anybody accountable to it. But until we do, it's just the same bullshit.
Right. Well, I think the other side of it too is getting the right person accountable, or the right individuals accountable too. And it's not deflecting. I mean, like a couple of these that have happened, they've been, they've scapegoated CISOs, IT directors, others lower level in the organization. It's their fault. Like, is it really? Shouldn't it be the person at the top? They're the one that's responsible for this.
Yep. And watch how fast you'll find all the single factor authentications get shut down when the CEO gets held accountable for it.
Yep. CEO and the board. Yeah.
So do you think from an MSP perspective that, because we're trying to teach them how to go out there and put these solutions or services or how to sell them to their customers. At the end of the day, I feel like almost some of these things, like MFA, for instance, maybe endpoint protection, are just things they should automatically put in place for these existing clients, at least. As long, and I don't know how much that would break into their revenue, but it seems like it's almost necessary at this point for them to do that.
It should never break into your revenue to do things the right way. What I mean? Because I've heard so many times, you talk about using firewalls, correctly. Because I've always been a firewall guy. It's ingress and egress. Like, I don't send that to work. It's operationally cumbersome. I'm like, to use something the correct way, there should never be any excuse for not doing something right. And if you're not going to do something right, here comes expectations. Expect things to go to shit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just called the way they're going to see it. And I think that's one of the reasons why people don't like talking to me. It's because, I mean, it's like, oh, you know, it seems kind of rude. Why do you get your shits about rude? It's the way it is,
Right.
you know, and people sucker for it. So if you continue to make these mistakes and you don't feel the weight of the mistakes you're making, honestly, you should be out of this business anyway. You know, I don't want you touching any of my shit.
No. Yep.
And so, I mean,
Accountability.
but we also have to say, like, if we want to learn how to do this correctly, I'm all about that. I would love to teach everybody. And then, you know, until we start holding people accountable for these things, you know, we're just going to continue to cycle. 30 years, 32 years or something in this industry. And I swear they're talking about the same damn things I was talking about 30 years ago.
Yeah,
That's how much progress we've made.
that's awesome,
Yeah.
guys. With that,
So let's leave on that positive note.
I like it. I like it. With that, I think that we need to figure out what that minimum requirement is for every business, right? And
Yeah.
and then we need to start promoting and educating around, like, look, this is the bare minimum that every single company, I don't care if they're a coffee shop or if they're the largest enterprise business, should have. And then, of
Mike-
course, you can add on things from there. But
Mike,
I
you're doing
don't
that
know that
ethics
anybody
thing,
has
the
said
ethical
this
thing,
is
right?
what you absolutely have to have, right? I mean, and before, go ahead.
No, Mike, you're doing that ethical thing, right?
The what? Truth in cyber transparency.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's add it
Yeah.
to
We
that.
have. Yeah.
A pledge of like, hey, these 5 things, if you're not doing,
Oh, Stacy's gonna be mad at me, but it's truthincyber.org. Soft
Truth in
launch.
Cyber, what is it?
Truthincyber.org. We
Truthincyber.org.
oh, I'm surprised
guys.
she's not in here. He hitting me already. But yeah, but transparency and truth in the cyber industry.
I
Well,
gotta
guys,
run now. My
Yeah,
wife
All right.
is looking at me funny.
I want to thank you guys for your time.
Say hi for us.
Love the talk on mental health. It's amazing. Thank you so much, Evan. Go enjoy the rest of your cruise and have a good time out there. Tell Marlis we said hi.
Love
Yep.
you guys.
And
do.
take
Thank you.
care.
See ya.